Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Scorebook Stories. I'm Alec. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful, wonderful time. And we are about to preview the final division in baseball before we get ready for opening day. I cannot wait for opening day. It's going to be such a beautiful, beautiful day. Watch, now that I say that, it's going to rain like everywhere for opening day. That's probably what's going to happen. I hope not. Anyway, we are going to kick things off with the American League West as we do every single time with these previews, and that is with the last place in the division. Fifth place went to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I know the of Anaheim's not there anymore, but I still like it. It's extra flair for the Angels anyway. Some of their losses this past offseason, they traded away Griffin Canning to the Braves, and Patrick Sandoval is leaving for Boston, and Kevin Pillar is heading to Texas on a minor league deal. Didn't really lose a whole lot, and they did add quite a few pieces. I definitely think this roster is going to be an improvement from last season, and that is starting things off with Tim Anderson signing a minor league deal. But I really do kind of have a feeling he's going to be on the opening day roster for the Angels. I could be wrong, but I have a hunch that he's going to see some significant time at the major league roster. Yohan Moncada will be playing third base for the Angels. Jorge Soler is going to be filling in at the DH spot after being acquired from the Braves for Griffin Canning. Travis d'Arnaud also is coming over. He's going to be backing up Logan O'Hoppe. Kikuchi and Hendricks will be filling out the rotation in place of Sandoval and Canning. Kenley Jansen and Garrett McDaniels will be added to the bullpen as well. I like this roster. I think it looks pretty good. Anthony Rendon, in case you were wondering, still hurt. He hasn't played over 60 games a season since signing with the Los Angeles Angels in 2019. I think it's time to let him go. I really do. I think it's time to release Anthony Rendon. He was a great player. He hasn't played enough to consider him currently still a great player, in my opinion. I would love to see him on the field for an entire season again. Like, he just hasn't played, and it's kind of upsetting, and I'm sure Angels front office aren't very happy about that deal that he signed. Anyway, they also signed some guys with a little bit more MLB experience that could be some help in terms of depth, like Carter Kieboom and Ryan Noda as well. I'm not sure how much we're going to be seeing of them in Los Angeles this season, but I do think that adding that little bit of depth is going to give them a little more stability when it comes to needing players on off days for their number one everyday guys. A good balance of young guys here and reliable veterans. It's really going to lead to a good season for them. Is it going to be a winning one? Probably not, but it is going to show some signs of improvement, and I really think that it is going to boost the young guys in this organization and hopefully put the Angels on track to have some form of success over the course of this season. The Angels historically have had great paper lineups, always. Once they got Shohei Ohtani, I thought they were going to go to the playoffs consistently. I thought they were going to be a top tier organization. Were they going to win World Series left and right like the Dodgers did? No, I don't think so. But I thought they were at least going to make pushes for the playoffs. But they don't. I think the Angels are cursed in some way. I don't know what it is, but I really think the Angels are struggling and need some help in some way, because no matter who's on their roster, they never seem to be able to win. Overall, though, I do see this team as a better Los Angeles Angels team than 2024. I think they may get up to 70 wins this season as opposed to 63 and 99, but I don't know. Like I said, the Angels to me seem like a cursed organization that shows a lot of promise in the spring, has great lineup on paper, good rotation on paper, but they just can't seem to get the job done, and they can't seem to get wins, which stinks because I feel so bad for Mike Trout. I really do. Like, I think the Angels need to move him to an organization that is going to have a chance to win a World Series, not the Dodgers. Do not send Mike Trout to the Dodgers, please. They don't need any more help than they already have. And if you send Mike Trout to the Dodgers, you better get Ohtani back. That's all I'll say. But now we're going to move into the Athletics from somewhere. You know, they're they're going to play baseball in a stadium in Sacramento, I think, this year, and who knows where they're going to go after that. Either way, they lost pretty much all free agents except TJ McFarland. The A's also traded away Nick Allen and Daz Cameron. Both guys were very solid, looking for their breakout year. I think Nick Allen maybe a little closer than Daz Cameron, or vice versa. I don't really know that well or know that much about either of these players. I know they're good ball players. I know they're MLB caliber ball players. And I really think that these two guys would have made a lasting impact on the Athletics had they stayed with the organization. In the offseason, they added Luis Severino and Jeffrey Springs to the rotation. Severino was given, I believe, one of the biggest contracts the A's have ever given out. I saw that somewhere, but I couldn't find it again. So correct me if I'm wrong there. But either way, it's only a 3-year deal, and it's not even $100 million. So if that's the biggest deal or one of the biggest deals that the A's have ever given out, that explains why they haven't had a lot of success historically over recent seasons. I also believe they're one of the most moved organizations in the entire MLB. Again, could be wrong. Feel free to correct me on that in the comment section. They also are bringing in Gio Urshela to solidify things over at third base. A bit more, a little bit more athletic. Well, not really athletic, but athletics. That's funny. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Gio Urshela, I think, is going to be a little bit more reliable at third base than what the A's had last season. Jose Leclerc, I think, is going to be one of the biggest signings for the A's. He is going to be a guy that can bring heat out of the bullpen, locate his fastball very well, and throw hard. Last year was a bit of a down year for Leclerc, but I do think he is going to see a big improvement this year. I think he's going to get back on track. Just one down year. He's been historically great out of the bullpen, and I really think that he's going to be a guy out of the bullpen that is going to take a lot of pressure off of Mason Miller. Mason Miller is an unbelievable relief pitcher. I think he even has potential to grow into a starter in the MLB. Don't know if that's going to happen, but I do think that there is a very good chance that he does. Anyway, Leclerc is going to bring great heat on the fastball and a sinker that sits about 95 miles an hour. So 95 with movement, that's going to be tough to hit. And from what I have seen, it's a pretty heavy sinker. I like it. I think Leclerc is going to be a huge help for the A's and a huge help for Mason Miller. Overall, I think the A's had a very good offseason compared to what they have done in the past. Zach Geloff, I think, really needs to have a way better season than he did last year, and I really think he will. I think he's going to turn things around, and he's going to perform at the level that is expected of everyday second baseman in the MLB. Young guys really need to establish themselves. The A's have speed for days. Lawrence Butler, Esteury, that's a tough name to say. Esteury Ruiz. Those two guys can move. They are really, really quick. And I think they have to really work on their base running decisions, make sure they are the best in the league when it comes to base running. And once they get on base, they're going to be completely fine. The A's also have the top first baseman in the MLB pipeline, Nick Kurtz, who rakes. He hammers the ball very, very well. And I really think that he's going to be seen in Sacramento at some point this season. I really do. But Geloff really is on his way to his prime. I think as long as he can elevate his game, along with Shea Langoliers, I think as long as those two guys can elevate their game and prove that they are the future of this organization, they're going to be fine. The A's are going to be on the road to becoming a competitive organization within the MLB. I definitely think they're going to be more competitive than the Chicago White Sox will be this year, but I do think that the team still is going to struggle a bit. They do need a bit more experience in the rotation and in the bullpen, along with some more establishment in the infield. And I think with time, the players that they have are going to become more established, more seasoned, and they're going to be better. I definitely think that the A's are on track to be a better team, but the way that they are right now, if they don't do anything to improve, or if they move some of these key everyday guys for them that are younger, they're going to take some steps backwards. 7MM Sports is your hub for all things Seven Mountains Media Sports. You can watch the latest of Sports Talk with Steve Jones episodes. You can find what station you can listen to your favorite Penn State sports team on, and you can even get live social media updates all the time. All of these things are available along with every single show produced by Seven Mountains Sports over at 7mmsports.com. Next up, we have the Texas Rangers, who finished third with a 78-84 record. They are losing a good amount this offseason. Max Scherzer, Nathaniel Lowe, Jose Leclerc, Kirby Yates, Jose Urania, Andrew Heaney, Matt Duffy, and Carson Kelly all exit stage left. They're on new organizations this year, but they are bringing in Luke Jackson, Chris Martin, Sean Armstrong, Jacob Webb, Hobie Milner, and Robert Garcia to run this bullpen. The Rangers have projected a completely new bullpen. Only one bullpen pitcher is returning from last season. That can be great, but it can be nerve-wracking. If I'm a Rangers fan and I see that, I may be a little bit nervous, but I think that these arms that they are bringing in are very reliable. I don't think there's anything really to be nervous about. The Rangers are also bringing in Jock Peterson and Jake Berger, who are going to be in the everyday lineup with Kevin Pillar and Kyle Higashioka as some additional depth. Pillar's on a minor league deal, but I think he's going to make the opening day roster. They also signed Jesse Chavez to a minor league deal. He's not going to pitch in the majors. He's 41, and he just has a great story, and I just wanted to talk about him a little bit. I love Jesse Chavez. I think it's great. He played for 9 or 10 teams over his 17-year career. 41. He's still out there as a reliever. I like it. Congratulations, Jesse Chavez. Hopefully you get some time in the majors and can play your 18th major league season. It's going to be great. I really hope so. But back on track here. Overall, I think that the Rangers took a step back this offseason with sending Nathaniel Lowe to Washington and replacing him with Jake Berger. I think that move alone is a step back. Berger's great. I think he's a good first baseman. He's a good third baseman as well, but Nathaniel Lowe is a lot better. The rotation looks a little bit weaker than it did last year by just a smidge, but I think by solidifying Nathan Eovaldi as the number one, that's really going to allow the Rangers to build a rotation around him. I really think that the Rangers are going to be able to bring up a couple young guys that are very reliable and can throw strikes and can locate breaking balls, or end up trading some A and AA guys for a more established reliever to take on the starter number 3 or number 4 role, just so that way the Rangers have a little bit more depth and reliability on the mound on days when Eovaldi is not starting. Jock Peterson's going to be a good addition at the DH position, but if he needs to be plugged in for a few games in the outfield, I'm not too sure about his reliability anymore. We saw it with Giancarlo Stanton when he stopped playing the outfield when he moved to New York and they threw him back out there. It wasn't very pretty. I mean, he wasn't always the greatest defender, but I still think that you saw a significant decrease in reliability and the skill to play the outfield once he started becoming an everyday DH. I think Jock Peterson's a little bit younger, a little less injuries than Giancarlo Stanton had, but I still am a little worried about the reliability if he has to end up playing left or right on some given day for rest reasons. But overall, he's primarily going to be the designated hitter for the Rangers this upcoming season. I still think this team is going to have a very positive season, though. I do think they're going to perform better than they did last year. They are keeping a lot of their key players and keep a lot of their stars in line here on this organization, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to win the division. I think it might. I think it has. I think they have a very good chance to win this division for reasons we're going to talk about a little bit later. But overall, I do think that the Rangers keeping a lot of their all stars and keeping a lot of their studs like Aroldis Garcia in the everyday lineup is going to lead to the Rangers having a successful season and most likely a winning season for 2025. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Seattle Mariners. They finished second in the AL West with an 85-77 record. The Mariners mainly lost some depth guys from last year's roster, and it looks like it will be replaced with prospects. That's what it's looking like so far through spring training and through their projected lineup on Fangraphs as well. Their minor league system's pretty solid. They have some guys that can add to the depth, but overall, their main roster, their starting lineup is projected to be pretty much the same as last year. I think the Mariners definitely have a lot of guys that they like, and they have the team that they think they can win with. They're bringing in Donovan Solano, and he's going to be a good bat off the bench and a reliable infielder when guys need a rest day. That's pretty much all I think he's going to end up being. Overall, Seattle didn't have a huge offseason, but they did make a few moves that show that they're looking for very specific pieces. It was definitely by design. I will say that their offseason was 100% calculated. That's for sure. They definitely are happy with the roster they have, and they think they can win with the roster they have. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you don't have a huge offseason and you get very specific players, it shows that you have what you think you need to win. Some of the younger prospects that are expected to become everyday fixtures on this Mariners roster are Emerson Hancock in the rotation, Ryan Bliss at second base, and I think Tyler Locklear at first base. Hancock is projected to struggle on the bump a little bit, but I think with the rest of the rotation that is around him, they're going to bring him along very nicely, and he will show a lot of promise. Is he going to be absolutely dominant this year? Probably not. But I do think that by the end of the season, you will have seen a significant amount of growth and progression in his game on the mound as a starter. Bliss is a great defender. I really think that his bat still needs a little bit of time to develop against MLB pitching based on what I've seen in spring training. However, he's going to be just fine. I think by the time we roll around and get out of May, he's going to be very comfortable. His average is going to start to level out a little bit, and he's going to be putting the ball in play and hopefully putting the Mariners in the best place to win. When it comes to Tyler Locklear, however, he is projected to start at AAA. But if he is hitting the ball well, and as so far he's hitting the ball very well coming out of spring, I would not be surprised to see him get a call to end up DHing a little bit for the Mariners and getting some reps at first base and just letting Luke Rowley handle DH for the day. Just to give Luke a little bit of a rest at first base. But I think Tyler Locklear is going to end up being on the Seattle Mariners roster at some point throughout the 2025 season. He's very, very good and very promising as well. I do see a lot of positives for the Mariners. The record, I think, this year may not reflect as many positives as they have. But overall, I think that this roster is ready to compete and is playoff ready. I really think that the Mariners are in a very good position to make the playoffs. But with the AL East being so deep, it's likely that they're going to take 2 wild card spots. So the best way for any of these teams to get themselves into the playoffs is by winning this division. And speaking of winning the division, the Houston Astros came away with the division last year very narrowly with an 88-73 record. They were then swept by the Detroit Tigers in the AL Wild Card Series. Stinks to be Houston. My father's an Astros fan. I make fun of him all the time. Anyway, they are losing Justin Verlander, Jason Hayward, Kikuchi. I can't say his first name. Yusi Kikuchi, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. I need to learn how to say his first name, but I can't. I hear it all the time. Every time he pitches, I hear the announcers say it, but I just can't mimic it. I can't say it. Anyway, they also lost Caleb Ferguson, Kendall Graveman, and Alex Bregman. That's going to be the biggest loss for them via free agency anyway. And Kyle Tucker was traded away to the Cubs. Kyle Tucker is a stud. He's a great ball player. But in return, they ended up getting Hayden Wesneski and Cam Smith, a first-round draft pick in the previous draft. He was drafted, signed with the Cubs, and immediately traded away, seemingly. And he did an interview and was like, I didn't even know I could get traded that fast. So now Cam Smith is with the Astros organization, and the projected starter at third base is going to be Isaac Paredes. He also came over in that trade. Christian Walker is joining the team in free agency, and I think he's going to be pretty solid over at first base. He is looking to be around a 230 batting average, 20 to 30 home runs, somewhere in that range. I really think Christian Walker is going to be very helpful for the Astros at first base. Overall, the Astros did not make a lot of MLB moves this offseason. They did a lot of minor league deals. They brought in a good amount of guys on minor league deals that could see some time in the MLB, like Brandon Rogers, but likely not. The biggest problem for Houston is they currently are projected to have JP France, Christian Javier, Luis Garcia, and Lance McCullers Jr. all on the IR on opening day. That's the entire starting rotation. That's a problem. And depending on how long they're on the IR and when they're going to be coming back, the Astros could be in for a rough start to the season. And last year, with the standings as close as they were between them and Seattle, they can't afford to have this many starting pitchers on the injured list. They really can't. And I don't think that the Astros are committed to Paredes at third base with Zach DeZenzo. He's playing very good baseball right now down in spring training, and I think that he probably will get the call up sometime around the All-Star break if he is going to continue to play well at third base in AAA. I think he's really going to be the future of this organization at third base until Cam Smith ends up becoming an MLB ready ball player. I really think that. I also think that the Astros are going to have a very, very slow start to the 2025 season, mainly because of the starters. I think with this many starters on the injured list, it's going to be very hard for the Astros to get things going defensively, and it's going to force the Astros to try to win every game with their offense. I think their offense is stellar. They have a lot of great guys that can hit the ball very, very well, get on base, score runs, steal bases. They can do it all. But if the pitching doesn't match or doesn't reflect the ability of their offense, I think it's going to put them in a hole that they may not be able to dig themselves out of, if that makes any sense. I really think that the Astros are going to have a down year. I think it's going to be a bad year for the Astros and a bad year for Astros fans, mainly because of the starting pitchers. I don't know when they're coming back. I don't know how they're going to pitch when they come back. I don't know any of this. Like it, having your entire rotation on the injured list, much like the Yankees have right now. If you go back and listen to my AL East preview, just ignore it because it's definitely changed. I'm gonna try to make a post probably sometime over the next couple weeks based on everything that's happened over the course of all these episodes going out and show my final uh, season projections for each division. I want to post all of them. It's definitely going to be different than what you've heard in the podcast. I can confirm that based on a lot of things that I've seen in spring training since each episode's released. Things are different. But overall, Astros, I don't think are going to have a super successful season this year. Stay up to date on everything going on in the sports world by heading over to 7 Mountain Sports on Facebook, 7 Mountain Sports on X, on Instagram. We are on all of your favorite platforms, and you do not want to miss out on a single thing going on here at 7 Mountain Sports. And finally, it is time to talk about the AL West standings predictions. I think that the A's are going to finish in last place this season. I think they have too much developing that they have to worry about, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that in order for the A's to get themselves on track to becoming a winning organization, they need to let these young guys play MLB ball and see MLB pitching, and then they will eventually grow as a team and become better for it. I really do. I think the Angels will move up to 4th place. I don't think they're going to be making the playoffs. I still think they have a lot of work to do, and I also believe that they are cursed. I don't think they are able, no matter who they have on the roster, to get into the playoffs. I can't even tell you off the top of my head the last time the Angels were in the playoffs. In 3rd place, I have the Houston Astros, mainly because of that starting rotation, like we just talked about. Depending on how long they're out, I don't know if they're going to be able to put themselves in a good enough position while those starters are on the injured list to win this division. I think they're going to be in too big of a hole that they can't dig themselves out of. They could put together a pretty good run at the end of the season when some of these pitchers start coming back, but I couldn't tell you how reliable this Astros team is going to end up looking. Offensively, they're going to look great. Pitching wise and defensively, I really don't. I don't trust it. I have not a lot of confidence in the starting rotation right now. Then I have the Texas Rangers finishing 2nd. I do think they took a step back this offseason, but I still think they have enough talent and skill level offensively and defensively and pitching to get the job done and get themselves into 2nd place. However, I think they will miss the playoffs because the Seattle Mariners are going to win this division, and they have shown based off this offseason that they are being very calculated and very strategic with their moves when it comes to trades and signings. And I think they have the roster that they want to win now. I really think that this roster is full of guys that have playoff potential. Is it World Series winning potential? Maybe not, but they're going to make the playoffs. And as long as they can get hot in the playoffs, anything is possible. Honestly, that's what it takes to win a World Series. You got to have the right players to get you through the season, and all of your players need to get hot at the right time in October. And it's hard because October's cold in some places. But either way, that is what I am thinking is going to be the end result for the American League West. The Athletics, the Angels, Houston Rangers, and Seattle Mariners being the only AL West team to make the playoffs. Hopefully I'm correct, because if I am correct, wow, I will feel like a genius. But either way, opening day is fast approaching, and some opening day starters are even already being announced. We're going to talk all about opening day and the opening series that are going to be happening all across the league coming up next week right here on Scorebook Stories.